Discussion. Although the information gathered from these short interviews was just the tip of the iceberg, some of their answers do give us an interesting insight into the work, family, and life experiences of these senior acupuncturists. According to the UK website of the Royal National Institute of Blind People, the RNIB, nearly half of blind and partially sighted people feel moderately or completely cut off from people and things around them. In the case of these senior blind acupuncturists, the opposite seems true, as they are very connected to people and especially close to family members around them. Most said that they were married. Some of them have children, and in some cases, the wife or children work with them. It appears that being blind did not prevent any of the teachers from marrying, raising a family, or running a family business. In addition, their clinics were extremely busy with hundreds of clients a month. From my own experience as an acupuncturist, patients do not return to you if they feel there is no connection with you. In fact, an important part of my work is understanding and building a rapport with a client. That hundreds of clients are coming and returning indicates that far from being cut off, they are actually very connected to others. This was borne out when I visited Mr. Taniuchi's clinic and observed a couple of his treatments with his patients. His warmth and friendliness, as well as the quality of his treatment, inspired confidence and put everyone at ease. As a patient myself at his clinic, the experience made me feel valued, and I would happily return. In the UK, the RNIB website states that 66% of registered blind and partially sighted people of working age are not in employment. This is a huge number of people and indicates that unemployment is a significant problem for the blind in the UK. In contrast, at no point did unemployment get mentioned in any of the interviews with the teachers. Certainly, there were limitations for choice of employment opportunities. Mr. Abbey said very clearly there was no other choice when he was younger, although that may have changed now. However, all the teachers went to a blind school. They trained and qualified in acupuncture and massage, and then had the chance to work in another clinic before setting up their own private business. None of them went through any significant periods of unemployment. Though the choices of occupation are limited, the goal of the blind school was to give their students the opportunity to make a living, to work and to support themselves as independently as possible. In regards to the questions of the philosophy of life, there is a quote by the famous deaf and blind lady Helen Keller. True happiness is not attained through self-gratification, but through fidelity to a worthy purpose. Though Mr. Abbey's answers were mostly short and non-committal, I felt there was an echo of Helen Keller's sentiment through his advice to young people to consider your general service in life and that you are connecting with people, your clients or people around you, to go one step further in aiming to provide a better service. He saw providing service as a worthy purpose. In fact, all the answers given by the teachers to this question were inspiring. If we look at Mr. Murakami's advice, you have to find the job you love and the job that suits you. When you find it, put all your energy into it. Mr. Taniuchi's answer, even if you have a weak point, try to use it positively. Mr. Iwashita's answer, no matter what people or the media say to you, pursue what you believe. All not look out of place in any motivational book by Earl Nightingale or Napoleon Hill, and suggest that a positive mindset is an important factor in leading these senior-level practitioners towards having a fulfilling occupation and satisfying life. If we look at Mr. Murakami's advice, you have to find the job you love and the job that suits you. When you find it, put all your energy into it. Mr. Taniuchi's answer, even if you have a weak point, try to use it positively. And Mr. Iwashita's answer: no matter what people or the media say to you, pursue what you believe. All would not look out of place in any motivational book by Earl Nightingale or Napoleon Hill, and suggest that a positive mindset is an important factor in leading these senior level practitioners towards having a fulfilling occupation and satisfying life. Blindness did not appear to be a barrier to daily work as an acupuncturist, though some aspects of practice did have to be modified. Some of the acupuncturists did not use moxa, although Mr. Iwashita did say that he used stick moxa. There was a reliance on assistants and family members with some clinical duties, and in particular using moxa. But should this be thought of as a weakness? We should consider that these teachers were providing a source of employment and experience to younger acupuncturists by taking them on as apprentices. If I compare this to my own experience as a newly qualified acupuncturist in the UK, I had the option of volunteering for free in various places where I could practice acupuncture. But the option of paid clinical experience or a paid apprenticeship was non-existent, and I think the opportunity to work in an experienced practitioner's clinic, whether he be sighted or blind, would have been invaluable. Mr. Taniyuchi's interest in fitness was not shared by the other acupuncturists, and I did not find out if the other teachers had any other hobbies outside of their interest in acupuncture. For me, Mr. Taniyuchi's advice really stood out. Whatever you do in life, your health is the priority. And I found his interest in health and fitness quite infectious. The UK website for the RNIB states that 15% of registered blind and partially sighted people say that they do not do any leisure activities outside of their home. In Mr. Taniyuchi's case, whilst his blindness did prevent him from becoming a judo teacher, it has not stopped him from pursuing his love of health and fitness. He would exercise at home and regularly attended an arm wrestling hall where he had arm wrestling fights with other attendees. My perception of an arm wrestling hall is influenced by the Sylvester Stallone movie Over the Top, where Stallone plays a macho guy having arm wrestling fights with other rough-looking Hell's Angels types of characters, adorned with sweat and giant biceps. This movie depicts a very male environment. It is probably not the same in Japan. Nonetheless, blindness did not seem to be an obstacle to Mr. Taniyuchi's getting out and doing leisure activities outside his home. Perhaps as Mr. Taniyuchi worked in an almost completely female environment with his daughters and female assistants, going to an arm wrestling hall would probably provide the perfect balance to his life. There were many other questions that could have been asked, and I am sure that these teachers would have experienced some challenges and hard times in life that they did not bring up. Certainly, the positive atmosphere of the workshop may have affected their answers. However, I felt I got a good basic impression of some aspects of the personal history and lives of these senior and very experienced blind acupuncturists.